Welcome to Wild West Garage. My name's Morgan, and that is my 1957 Chevy Belair that I've owned for 41 years. So I bought this car when I was 16. So if you do the math, that means I'm 57 years old right now. And I figured this is the year to drive a 57 Chevy for the summer. So after 20 years, I've brought this car out of storage. And so you can imagine after 20 years of just sitting idle that there are some issues with the car. And so the issue that I'm going to address in this video is the fuel tank. You know, the fuel's rotten in it. I've been running it on just a little jerry can under the hood. I have driven the car a little bit. It's running really good. But I want to get it back on the fuel tank, of course, so I can take it somewhere on a trip or whatever. So I'm just kind of dreading it, but it has to be done. So here we go. So I'm just draining the fuel tank, draining all the rotten fuel out of this thing here, and it doesn't look really bad. It's stinky. It smells stale, but it's clear. So that's kind of encouraging. It's not a big goopy mess in there anyways. At least that's my hope at this point. Well, I guess that would explain why the ascending unit doesn't work. Because there isn't one. Doesn't look good. It's so nasty. I'm gonna have to get a new sending unit and a new fuel tank. By the look of things, the fuel tank is junk. But if this is any indication of the condition of the tank inside, it doesn't look good. I've got nothing to lose here. Tank is so nasty inside. So I'll show you something. Here's what's left of the sending unit. And I've already knocked some of the junk off it. But that's what the tank looked like inside. It's just so crusty like that. All the stuff caked on everything. So like I said, I've knocked some of the stuff off this already. So I've pressure washed it a whole bunch. It looks better inside. A lot of junk came out, but I'm not able to get the pressure washer everywhere inside of there. So I'm just gonna fill it up with water. Put some water in it. Seal it all up as best I can and tumble it. And we'll see how it comes out. I got this stuff over here, the shale, real sharp. I've already done this a little bit, and it did clean it up quite a bit, so I'm just going to keep going here for about half an hour or so. A new tank is about $500 and probably at least a week away, so I want to drive this car tomorrow. Alright, that was a little hard on the old man's back. Crouching over, bending over. Anyways, I'll get over it. So now I gotta get all the rocks out of there. That should be fun. Let's see what kind of muck comes out of it. So I'm pretty confident that that did some cleaning. So I think I got most of the rocks out. And then I threw a little bit of hydrochloric acid in there. That's the last step in this process. And it looked pretty good in there prior to putting the acid in. So I'm just going to let it sit for a few minutes now, and then I'm going to wash it out for the final time, make sure I got all those rocks out of there. And then I'm going to have to come up with some solution for the sending unit. I'm going to reuse the pipe that's on there. Years ago I modified that sending unit. It was a 5/16 line going into it, and I put a 3/8 line in it. So I want to keep that. And I'm just going to find a fuel sock and tie it on there somehow. And I'm going to find another sending unit and fasten it to the tube. I think I just soldered it on last time, so I'll have to do that again. So anyways, that's what I'm doing, so I'm going to do it. So the tank cleaned up pretty good. I stripped, as you can see, I stripped most of the paint off with the pressure washer. And I haven't decided if I'm going to paint it or not. It's not going to be orange again, I might just do it black. It didn't come out, you know, super clean inside, but I think it's clean enough to use. So I'm just going to see how it goes. I'll have to make sure I carry a spare fuel filter in the car. So as ugly as this sending unit looked when I took it out of the car, and the fact that it was in two pieces, didn't really deter me from fixing it. So see this part here, see that? You can see there's a tab there that's bent over, and then there's two more. There's one there, and there's one right there. So I bent those like apart, took this, there's a cover on the back here, took this apart, cleaned it all up, sprayed some carb cleaner on it, and then I just put this part back together, and I tested it, and it seemed to be working. So then I went ahead and soldered it back onto the pickup tube, and then because this strap here was busted off there, I had to solder it back on. I mean, it's ugly. I struggled with it, but it works. So I'm going to be able to reinstall this in the car or in the tank and have my 3/8 sending unit. So you can see where I just used soft solder and soldered it on. And I used a hunk of tubing to kind of brace it. Soldered it together. I did this years ago, probably 35 years ago I did this. So I've got a 3/8 fuel line running all the way from the tank. That's great. So I didn't have to spend any money. Got the fuel tank cleaned up reasonably well. I didn't even look at one of these to see what it cost. But I don't need one now. So I just want to double check this sender just so I can feel confident that I've actually fixed it. So I'm just grounding. I'm grounding it on the. I'm grounding one lead on the pipe, or connect the other lead onto the where the wire goes to the gauge. So all I'm going to do is going to start out. Yeah, you can't see it, but you won't be able to see what I'm doing, but you'll be able to see the number. See the number? It's a fairly low value there. That's empty. I'm just going to bump it up a little bit. See, now it's at 5 point something, 5.2. It's just slid back a bit. Slid back to empty. So I'll just, okay, so might be a little bit of a dead spot there. There we go, it's stabilized now. 3.8. I'm gradually just nudging it up, and the values are going up. Actually, I guess it's getting, yeah, more resistance as it goes up. It's getting further away from the connection. It's sliding further down the coil. It's almost full now. It's gone all the way up to full now. I'm just going to work my way back down. I would say that's working perfectly. So now we're empty again. So, success! So here's the setup. I just put a coupler on the original fuel hose there to the fuel pump, and then I got it going down into a pail, and clamp the end on just because when I start blowing air through there, it's going to fly around. I don't want fuel spraying all over my shop. I'm about to blow air through the fuel line. Let's see what we get here. Oh yeah. There's fuel coming out. I don't think you couldn't see that, but yeah, blowing through there nicely. No restrictions. So now I'll hit it with the carb spray. So I'm just going to hold this right up here onto the fuel line. Probably not gonna, I'm gonna have to help it with some air. Doesn't have enough pressure to, so I'll just push that into the line a little bit, some air. And I'll do that again. Yeah, it just starts running back on me. This stuff can't be good for you. So after forcing some of that carb cleaner through the fuel line, a bunch of black crud came out of there. So that was just the first flush. So I'm going to do it again and see. You know, I want it to clean up a bit better than that. So I flushed this out 3 times now. So I spray some cleaner in. hit it with a shot of air, more cleaner, a shot of air, more cleaner, a shot of air, and then just leave it sit in the line for a bit, and then like, you know, a couple minutes or whatever, and then blow it through, and each time it got a little bit cleaner. So it's a pretty messy process. I'm kind of tired of this stuff running down my arm, so I'm just going to leave it at that. So I'm just getting ready to screw the sending unit back in, and I'm wondering, what did I do with the screws? So I looked around in the shop here quickly, and I didn't see them anywhere obvious. Like the sending unit I had sitting there, and then once I was finished with the sending unit, it was over on this cart here. So then I had this horrible feeling that I'd left them on the bumper, because I had it all back here, and it had this piece of plywood behind the truck. That's where I was washing it. And so look at this. So I took this truck from Duncan all the way out to Cobble Hill, which is about it's about a 15-20 minute drive on the highway at like 100 kilometers an hour down, you know, into Cobble Hill. And this is how I found it when I went out here. This screw is just waiting to drop onto the ground. Wow, that's crazy. So the fuel sock that was on there was destroyed. So I had this one in my toolbox. It's for it snaps onto a electric fuel pump, I guess. So you can see what I did. I just cut a piece of it off and zip tied it onto the end of this. So hopefully that's enough surface area, like that it's not too restrictive. It's not a big deal to pull it back out again and change it. So that's what I'm going to run with today. So this tank has a big dent in it. See that dent there? I don't remember how I got there, but anyways, I'm gonna make an attempt to push that dent out with air, and I'm gonna use the hammer to do some, or put some stress in it so it will stay out. It's quite a dent. So let's see how this goes. That popped right out. I don't know if it's going to stay out though. Got a dent there too. better. Now that I've been banging on it, there's a bunch of loose stuff floating around in there. Oh well. Yeah, that's better. Now I gotta repaint it. So I totally forgot about the fill tube. Of course, it's all rusty inside too. So what I come up with to fix that problem is this thing here. It's just a piece of welding rod, or two pieces of welding rod. This little dangly bit here. I had another one, but I don't know what happened to it. It must be up inside there. So I'm just running this on the drill. I'll show you that. Dust flying out of there. So I'm just going to run this back and forth a few times and knock all the crap out of it. Alright, the tank's installed. Everything's hooked up. Looks good. Had a bit of an issue with my vent line there. It's kind of split, so I don't know. Hopefully it's not going to leak, but I'll deal with it when the time comes. When there's gas pouring all over the gas station. So I forgot to check whether or not it read empty on the gauge before I put gas in it. So I just put about 5 gallons of gas in, and I believe it's a 16-gallon tank, so let's see what happens here. Oh man, it's gone to full. Why is that? So I pulled the signal wire off, grounded it. Actually, I grounded it to the sending unit, and it still went to full. So then I realized, well, maybe the sending unit's not grounded. So I made this. So I didn't have any crimp on eyes, so I just made an eye. Did the wire and soldered it. And then I just soldered the other end and zip tied it to the sending unit. And it didn't have a screw either, so I just pop riveted it on there. So let's see if it works. So I put 5 gallons in a 16-gallon tank. So it should read somewhere between a quarter tank and half a tank. Look at that. It works. Okay, I'm going to start it up. See if I can pull some fuel out of there. See that this jumped up. I guess it's finding its place. Oh, that's weird. Huh. Oh well, as long as it gives me some indication. Car runs so good. You would think that a guy as old and wise as me would remember to check the brake fluid before he went for a drive. So I guess I was just a little excited. The brakes were working, but when I noticed when I tried to stop coming into the driveway, it seemed like I had to push pretty hard. So there's no rear brakes in the car. So I'm going to pour some brake fluid in it and see what happens. The front reservoir looks really full, so I'm kind of thinking it might just be bypassing into the front reservoir, if that's possible. I think that's possible. I'm not entirely sure, but I'll find some brake fluid. There we go. I'll top that up and get back to you. So I topped up the brake fluid and pumped the pedal a few times, and it came up nice. It now has rear brakes, so it doesn't instantly light up the tires when you have your foot on the brake and the gas at the same time. So I guess that's good, unless you want to do brake stands all over town, but I'm letting pass that. So I guess I'm just going to let it develop, see where it's leaking from, and might have to replace some brake parts. We'll see. So the master cylinder was bypassing, so I installed a new one, installed a thermostat, fixed the overheating problem on the engine, and now I can enjoy the car for the rest of the summer. So thanks for watching. See you next time. On the road.